Hello everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Green Side Up. We're here in the big tunnel today. A little bit rainy today outside, very cool the weather. So I'm going to do a few things in here. I need to get set up because now it's time to be feeding, and I have been feeding these for about 2 weeks, to feed the tomatoes, the peppers, the aubergines, the melons, all those heavy feeding plants. They're all in a fruiting stage now where they're getting on, got fruit on, and they all need proper feeding now. So I'm going to show you how I tackle that using a homemade Comfrey plant food. So these are my homemade liquid feed barrels. The one at the furthest away from us and on now is the nettle feed, which is nitrogen basically, so anything for green growth. So you can use that on things like lettuces and brassicas, that sort of thing. And in this one is the real potent mix. This is Comfrey. In fact, there's actually some growing in there. You can see it's actually got all kinds of insect life in there at the moment. But there's a thick black liquid in there, which is the plant food. I've been shoving bits and bobs of Comfrey in there most of this year, and I'm now going to drain some of this liquid off and start to use it. It's a smelly job. So I have my own Comfrey patch down the very back of the plot there, and I grow a specialist Comfrey. It's one that doesn't set seeds. You can only propagate it by root division or by taking the clumps, the crowns out of the plants and splitting or dividing those. So it doesn't spread seed, which is beneficial. We have an English Comfrey in this country and it will set seeds and it will grow, but the roots are rumoured or muted to grow 30 foot deep. And basically, once you've put it somewhere, it will always grow there. So you've got to be careful with that. If it's a self-seeding plant, the seeds can blow anywhere. And if you miss it, it's rooted and there for good. So that's why I grow the Russian variety, Bokin 14. Now, I've seen tests of this, unscientific tests, and particularly like on a program called Beech Grove Garden. They did a test where they ran a Comfrey feed against, you know, a generic tomato feed, something like Tomarite, I think it was. And the Comfrey feed won hands down, which was reassuring for me because I've been using this for 4 or 5 years, and I was more than happy to hear that result, to know that I was doing the right thing. Another thing I'd heard a few years before that was a guy who was a chef down south who had his own big small holding, if you like, and the way he grew his tomatoes was to feed every single day, but only a light feed. And the theory was that if once a week you come along and you put feed on your tomato plants, the next 7 days when you're watering, you're washing that feed through the soil and getting rid of it. So he waters every day with a week solution, and that's what I've taken on, and I haven't looked back since. So I've got this neat Comfrey here. You can see the colour of it. I just put this into my feed watering barrel here in the polytunnel. So this water's kept at the same temperature as the plants. It's ready to go with feed. I'll put another bucket of this in yet. I'll fill this right up, mix it up, and that's what I'll water all my plants with throughout now, from now through the rest of the season. I mean, that's fairly dark now. Now I'll put another bucket or 2 in there, but I want it just to be the colour, just so that it's slightly coloured and not transparent like water is. Then I know that's about right, and I can smell it, so I know it's there, it's working. And as I say, every day from now on I will water from this barrel only. I won't get the hose pipe out unless we have an extreme drought. And if I see signs of the plants starting to need an extra feed, I will add extra feed to this water or direct feed to the plants, but on the whole I like to give them from this every time. Okay, the majority of this lot of plants are Dahlias, and they've been growing in here happily away now for quite some time. They're of a good size. Some of these will need cutting back and pinching out a little bit, but we'll do that on another day. Just for now, I need to get them out of this tunnel so I can use these beds, and if I get them out now, then I can plant them either later this week or into next week. They just need to sort of start hardening off really. As you can see now, the wind is blowing across them, and as that wind blows across them, that actually hardens them up. It gets them used to outside conditions before actually just planting them straight into soil. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put them down the side of the tunnel, just out there. I know you can't see it, but just down the side between the two tunnels, so they've got some protection, and that'll be good enough for them for the next 4 or 5 days, maybe into a week or more. We'll see. So with those dahlias gone and all those other bits and bobs tidied up, I've just run the claw through it, raked it up, and we're now ready to sow other things in here. Or yeah, it's be mostly sowing seeds in these 3 beds now, and we'll get on to that. Outside, excuse the scruffy walk, but here's all my dahlias now. So they're sort of protected between these 2 polytunnels, and there's protection at either end, just so they don't get a battering too quickly. And now that I've moved them, I just need to water them. Whenever you move a plant, pot it on or whatever, make sure it's watered, less stress. There is one problem here with this dahlia, and I'm not sure what's going on with that, because the pot's, it's not over soaked and it's moist. So it might just be a casualty of life, that one, I'm not sure. But I'll trim back some of that dead stuff off that one and see what happens. There's a couple down the front that aren't doing particularly well. I'll just leave them at the front, keep my eye on them. But what I'm going to do now is give them all a very, very good water. I've moved them, but I've moved them light without the watering. And yeah, I'll just give these a water and then see where we go from there. In about a week, 10 days time, hopefully we'll get these out in the ground and start pruning them up ready for flowering. Another job I need to do is tackle this grapevine, and all I'm looking to do here is just to take out some of these longer stems, and I just want to basically shorten them. Just because it can get far too congested in here. I still want some leaves for photosynthesis to help these grape bunches to grow. But if you leave these, it will just keep growing, and it will literally eat you out of house and home. So you do have to keep these in some sort of a check. Later in the season, I'll cut all these branches down to a couple of buds on the branch. And that won't be ready then for next year, but right now just need to trim these out. it just thins it out, lets a little bit more light in and keeps the plants under control. So this is just a light pruning for now, just to get some of the branches out of my way. And this is how it will all end up looking in a week or two. What I'll do now is I'll come every day and do one section, and I will also thin out the grape bunches, because as I pointed out in an earlier video, just in that area there, there's like 7, 8, maybe even a dozen bunches of grapes, far too many. So these need thinning down. And at the back here, that thick stem you can see at the back is the actual grapevine trunk where it comes out of the ground. And all this lot of foliage is coming from the base of that plant. I haven't trimmed that because I'm going to use them for cuttings and make some more great plants. But you can see it's looking absolutely fabulous this year, really is. And those who remember it last year will probably testify to that. It's just wicked with fruit. But anyway, this variety is Black Hamburg, and if you want to know more about that, then I suggest you Google and look up the Grapevine at Harden Court Palace. It's the same variety as that, and just have a look at how big and how wonderful that gets. Right, I was using this stuff to tie up in the new polytunnel the other day to grow my aubergines up. It's like a jute twine or a coconut fibre. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, but it's very sort of rough and ready, and you know, it doesn't sort of fall off a reel like a piece of string does. You can sort of knot it if you want to. Oh, for heaven's sake. You know, that sort of thing. But you can see it doesn't go all the way tight. It will knot, and you can hang it from things and suspend it. But if it's not a traditional twine as you would think it is. Now, as opposed to thickness, there's a pencil, so it's as thick as a pencil. I've had this for, must be going on 7 or 8 years now, and I just use it occasionally. First year I got it, I used it for tomatoes, but it took me so much time tying all this up to use it that I only used it the 1 year for tomatoes. But occasionally I'll use it for other things. Yeah, and there we go. It's, I say, it doesn't fall off like normal string falls off a ball. You can see that's what it's like. It's fairly sort of rigid, but yeah, it's good stuff. And that is hop twine. That's what they use to suspend hops. Can be up to 30 foot in the air. But yeah, it was Amanda, I think, one of the viewers, who asked about that. So there you go, Amanda, hop twine. So there we go, I've got lots of things sorted out today. I've got the feed barrel up the top there, ready to go to feed these plants, and I fed them today. Trimmed off a little bit of this grapevine, and you'll see me trimming off little bits and thinning the bunches as we go along through the season. Got these beds clear here, got the dahlias outside there hardening off, ready to go in at the end of this next week, hopefully. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, really. These beds here, these two, I'm going to be using for sowing carrots. And that end one will be for wallflowers and a couple of other little bits and bobs I've got. Going to do something a bit different at the back over there. That's a new thing that's coming up. But these carrots, I've decided on a couple of flavours. I'm going to, a couple of varieties, not flavours. I'm going to try Autumn King in here. The soil is probably not deep enough in here for Autumn King, but I'm going to give them a try anyway. And I'm chiefly trying that because I've got the seed. I've also got Burlicum. I'm going to try that. And one bed will be Holy Chantenay, and the other one I've ordered a new seed. More news about that when it arrives, and then we'll get the whole both of those beds sown all in one go. All right, so yeah, I spent about an hour last night looking up carrots, and I found one I thought was quite interesting, so I've ordered it, and we'll see what happens when we get there. So there we go. But that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this. Just a few little bits and bobs today, really, tying up some loose ends. See you very soon. You all take care. Please stay safe. Look after yourselves. Ta-ra.